You know, every year I feel like all the countries that make up the unitary state, the United Kingdom, have been turned into one big cash cow. There's taxes for this, rates for this, VAT for this, and so on and so on and so on. And Rachel from accounts, particularly when things like budgets come around, as we've got coming up very soon, think that they can tax their way out of any situation. Any screw up that they've made, they can just add extra tax to the populace. Well, surely we get to a point where enough's enough and we're looking for change. We're looking for something different to happen. And by God, people need to wake up. Now, over on my X account, I don't know if you follow me over on there, I'll leave a link in the description for it. I'm starting to put together threads to try and get people to think, to get people to understand, to get people to kind of look outside the narrative and think, hang on a minute, maybe something a bit dodgy is going on here. Well worth a read. Go and follow me over there. Anyway, back to the plot. Every year we get a council tax bill, don't we, from our local authority. And every year we get a nice little summary of what we pay and what all that money goes to. And it's become very apparent over the years that that money doesn't go to where it should be going. We know that only too well. And every year it goes up. I think the current council tax rate for a property like mine in my area is about £170 a month at the moment, whereas last year it was 130, the year before it was a little bit less. We used to be guarded against increases through a little thing called a referendum, in that you couldn't increase it to an amount without, permission. You had to call a referendum, effectively. I know that rate was increased at some point. There's various schools of thought around council tax, isn't there? Many people don't pay it. Many people haven't paid it for years. Many people continue to pay it. It depends on the level of risk you take, the level of knowledge that you have, and what you're prepared to go through to starve the system of the money which they're using to do all sorts. People have done freedom of information requests to the local councils, and it's quite obvious that it goes into one big consolidated pot and doesn't go to where it should be, as it says on effectively the invoice you receive. It's obtaining money by deception, really. Well, the residents of Worcestershire, I feel sorry for, particularly because Reform run things in Worcestershire as they do in Kent, my area. And one of the things that Reform promised was no tax rises. But the problem is, as they found when they go into areas, there's massive overspends, there's massive debt, there's massive expenditure that needs covering somehow, where people beforehand have screwed it up. There's been layer upon layer of incompetence over the years. And what their answer is a 10% increase to local council tax. 10%. Can you imagine that? Now, what Reform have to realise, which is very important, and, this will be in effect all over the country, we as a people generally aren't very well off because of the way things are going up. I mean, I did some shopping yesterday. 60 quid for 3 bags of shopping in Tesco's. And one of the things I noticed was mince, beef mince, a £5 for a 500 gram. That was about 3 quid a year ago. What's going on? And all the cost of living is going up. And if you turn around and say, all right, we're going to stick your council tax up by 10%, which they have to get permission for anyway, people are not going to be able to afford to pay it. So you'll end up in a situation where you're taxing a populace into oblivion. Those that have got the balls will say, fuck you, we're not paying it. And those that don't, their mental health will go through the gutter because they're worried about how they're going to pay it. And what you will end up is creating a massive cycle of debt because people can't pay this stuff. And then in turn, what will happen, your costs will increase because you will have to provide support to the people who can't afford to pay the demanding council tax bills that you're levying. Taxation, more taxation simply does not work because people don't have the money to pay it. And if you're a resident of Worcestershire, and anywhere else for that matter, that has this problem where they're talking about massive tax increases, council tax in this case, what you need to do is turn around and say a definite no. I'll tell you a story just in finishing from when I was a kid. Obviously, before we had the council tax, we had the poll tax. Now, I was just a kid at the time. I was 12, 13 years old, something like that. And what we had was a situation where I lived in a flat with my mum. You're going back to late 80s, early 90s, really. And she was quite happy. Oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can do the other. And then the poll tax came in. And the mood was, woof, how are we going to afford to live? The same will happen with the council tax. When you push people to such a degree, then you look what happened as a result of the poll tax all those years ago. As I said, I was only a kid at the time, but I remember it. People need to start realising that when they make demands of you, when they say you're going to pay this, you're going to pay that, you're going to pay the other, it isn't cut and dry. It isn't a case of they say jump and you say how high. Not anymore. That's not the world we live in. Your priority has to be your family, your health, your wealth, and don't let them bully you. Don't let them demand. Don't let them do anything that's going to cause you any aggravation. It's time people took the power back. You know, the United Kingdom, the unitary state, is a big cash cow for these people. And we, the people, seem to be the slaves who they just want to get all sorts of money off anytime, anywhere. It's disgusting and it needs to stop. Anyway, that's my 2 pennyworth about council tax. Thank you very much for listening. As always, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share me on your socials. I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.